You can never serve or maintain your success while in bondage to sin. You will never be able to maintain that success while you are in bondage to sin, no matter what you are doing. Watch this intro so we can get right into this video. When God gives you that peace, you will rest in his security, his protection, his comfort, his love. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about serve God with the same vigor, the same fervor that you serve your sin with. Why do I say that? Man, I've been going around in social media. I've been sitting in chat rooms. I've been watching group chats. I've been going around and I've been seeing what's out there in the internet world. And the one thing that stuck out to me, the one thing that has stuck out in a lot of questions was happening out in internet world was, why are these successful people either in rap, NFL, businessmen, former gang members coming out of the hood, getting into a successful situation, becoming a huge businessman? Why are they still going back to their old ways, or still involved in their own ways? Maybe selling drugs or hanging out with their friends, or still doing sinful acts and doing these things that they're doing. And it came up in the social media, and this is serious, because a lot of people are asking these questions. What will make you get so successful that you still in this successful situation, and now you can't even maintain that successful situation because you're still feeding your sin? And now that the sin, you're using that money to fuel your sin. And the Bible specifically talks about these things. Let me give you an example. I was reading an article about a former NFL player who is 29 years old. His name is Gregory Keith Robinson from the New Orleans. He was a former NFL offensive lineman. He was the second overall pick in 2014 NFL draft. He was arrested on major drug offenses. Here's this man making millions and millions of dollars, and he gets pulled over by the police. And him getting pulled over by police, he gets arrested for all these drug charges. How does someone that is making all these millions of dollars still involved with the drug trade? To be able to be making millions of dollars in legit money, and you're still involved, you put yourself in such a precarious situation that now you lose everything, the successful thing, because you're in bondage to your sin. I was also reading an article about a rapper, Fetty Wap, who is also 30 years old, and that he's been arrested with the federal government of running a drug operation. Why are these people that are making millions of dollars, that are such influence in a community, in their circle, within their respected careers, why are they still falling victim? Well, the Bible speaks specifically about this in Romans chapter 6, verses 19 to 20. We're going to read this. I'm going to break it down for you. The one thing that we need to understand and we need to identify is that once you have sin, all sin is only going to compound on top of each other. Romans chapter 6, verse 19 to 20, and it reads, "Because of the weakness of your human nature, I am using the illustration of slavery to help you understand all this. Previously, you let yourself be slaves to impurity and lawlessness, which led to ever deeper into your sin. Now you must give yourselves to be slaves to righteousness, living so that you will become holy. When you were slaves to sin, you were free from the obligation to do right." That is God's holy word. We see this. We see that when you become a slave to your sin. So what am I saying? There always have to be a balance when you are successful. When you make it as successful, you will never be able to make it and maintain your success if you don't change the way you think and how you think, and your not just knowledge and not just wisdom, but serving a God that provides knowledge and wisdom, and following through with that knowledge and wisdom as you embark on this new successful journey that you have gotten, that you have received. My message here today: serve God with the same fervor that you serve sin. You have to. You will never be able, you will always fail if you are stuck in bondage within that sin. Your sin results in more sin and more sin. So the question is, who are you going to serve? Because when you're in bondage, your master is your sin. People sit back and they think and they talk about that. I even heard in these chats, the Bible is perfect, but I'm not perfect. And I'm like, that's why you don't follow God? That's why you don't follow Jesus? You could sit back. You can sit back and have all this money, have all this wealth, have all the things that you want. And also, you can be doing for the community out there. You can be bringing back and giving back to the poor community and building schools and doing all these good things that you want to do and that will help the community. But if you are not standing on something bigger than you and you call yourself you looking like your God rather than serving a God while reading his message, his word, maintaining knowledge and walking out wisdom, you will never be able to maintain that type of success because you are in bondage to your sin. And all you will do is keep compounding on top of your sin. Look at the NFL player where he had all these drugs in the car. He's an NFL player, the second pick from the draft. You making money. It's because you're in bondage and you don't know how to separate the two. Look at this rapper that he has massive influence. There's pictures of him being in the crowd and the people holding up their cell phones. And he's making all this money. He's doing concert. He has influence. But why is he really doing it? That's the question. Is he doing it because he's serving God, or is he doing it because he's serving his bondage of sin? So when you sit there and you find yourself that you are in your sin, and when I talk about your sin, it could be anything from smoking, your lustful behaviors, your selfishness, could be you using your money for drinking. You find yourself in a situation where you using your time, your energy, your eyes, your ears, your nose, your mouth, your anything that covers you, your members of your body to serve smoking, lusting, selfishness, drinking, gossip, to gain popularity, your sexual behavior, your criticisms of people. You're doing it for recognition. Maybe you're overeater or grumbling, power, greed, cursing, or you doing it for fame, or because you had the previous life that you had of sin, and now you have that previous life that you were doing of sinning, selling drugs, gang banging, all these other different things. And you have all that you're doing this stuff previously, but now you are in a position where you are successful and everything's above board. And yet you find yourself still involved in that drug game. You're still involved in that lifestyle that you're supposed to have left because now you're successful. The reason why is because you're in bondage now. You've been in bondage. You are a captive. You are a slave to the sins in the previous life or the previous situation that you find yourself in. All you did was that bondage, that sin. You only bought into something that was clean. All you did was take that dirty, uncleanliness body, mind, spirit, and soul, and move it into something that is successful and clean. And you taint it because you are bondage and you are enslaved to your sin. Your sin results in more and more sin. And if you don't break that, you will never be able to maintain your success, no matter who you are. But when you have that balance, when you move yourself over to be successful, and now you're making money above the board, everything is legit. Now you're starting to leave that old self behind, that old wine, and now you have new wine in a new body. Then you start to move towards holiness. Then you start to clean. Now you starting to clean and purify yourself. Then you start to have that balance where that when you serve God with your bodies and your members of your body, and you doing it out of the Bible, when you are walking out the knowledge and wisdom, when you are building schools and you're giving to the poor, and you are building your community that you were from back, and you are giving back to that community. But the only difference is you're doing it out of the will of God. You're doing it out of the faith of God. And that's a big difference, because as long as you continue to do these things without an overseer, without God having your back, without your service and really accepting Jesus Christ and doing all things for his glory and his purpose and his will, it will always fall down. It will never maintain itself. It may go up. It may stand for a little bit, but things that go up, the mighty fall, is the devastating part, that it will all crumble. It will never maintain itself. You can break that sin. You can break that sin by following and believing and using that fervor, that all the things that you do to maintain your sin, but you turn it over and you serve God. When you build that school, you saying, God built this school, not me. He blessed me with this ability to be able to build this school for his purpose, for his will, for his people. But when you lose sight of that, when you don't get knowledge and wisdom, you can never maintain what you have. But when you start to serve God and you start to clean up your life, see, people don't know and people don't talk about is that when you clean up your spirit, when you clean up your body and your soul, spiritually, when you clean yourself, what happens in the spirit will manifest in the physical world. Sanctification starts when you start to yield to righteousness. Righteousness only means rightly, doing the right thing. When your purpose is to please God and to please Jesus Christ, no one else, you become balanced. You become aligned and one with Jesus Christ. Whenever you have an opportunity, like going to the NFL, like becoming a rapper and becoming famous, you also have an opportunity to become righteous and holy and to move to sanctification. That you have that alignment and that communication with God, and you have did away with all the old things and all the old sin, and you are no longer in bondage. You are no longer a slave to your sin, because remember, you only rapping or NFL or business to only serve and fuel your sin. And sin always leads to death. And when it leads to death, it will always fall. But when you build your house, you build it on a solid foundation when you serve Jesus Christ. And when you put up the walls, which is holiness, righteousness, sanctification, deliverance, then it will stand forever. Nothing will be able to make it fall. Nothing will ever be able to topple it down. Jesus Christ will never credit your righteousness over the deeds that you do, but he will credit you as righteous when you believe in Jesus Christ and you walk out his word and you believe in your heart and you serve his will and his purpose. As you continue on your successful path, you will maintain your success always in all things that you do. But if not, it will always fail. You look at anybody in this world that don't have some type of balance, and they will always crumble. They will always fall into scandal. That's why it is important. That's why people can never maintain their success when they are stuck in bondage of their sin. And you should always want to do better. Change your life. Give 30 minutes to Jesus Christ. Turn your life around. Read your Bible for 30 minutes. Sit in silence and pray to him for others and for your family. Read his word and stay humbled within his presence. And you will realize that you will always maintain your success. But as long as you keep in that bondage of sin, you will always have to continue to feed it and feed it and feed it, even when you are doing things above board. Thank you for watching. God bless you and God bless your family.